I love the pixel art of early Pokemon games. I think it's full of personality, it has a great art style, and it has aged quite well, generally speaking. That is true mostly of the front sprites, though, which are the ones you see most of the time. But the back sprites can sometimes be rough, and they range wildly. Some of them are very detailed, they do look good, they evoke the Pokemon, but some of them are weirdly out of view. You can't even see the whole Pokemon, it's just like the top of it, like this Dustox one, you can barely see the guy. So I thought, why don't I go through and rank all of the Gen 3 back sprites? I feel like people pay more attention to the front sprites, but the back sprites are equally important. They're what you see when you're using the Pokemon yourself and you want to feel like that's your friend. You have a bond with this Pokemon. And if you can't even see the thing, that's a little rough, isn't it? So let's go through every single back sprite in Generation 3 and rank them all by how artistically competent they are. And there is quite a range of quality here, I will say. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, folks. If you're genuinely a Jimothy non-subscriber in August 2024, I feel that you're going to be left behind by the rest of the world. It's just not a very smart thing to do in the current climate, so I would recommend subscribing. We're going to go in alphabetical order for these, and the first Pokemon in the game alphabetically is Abra, who is looking pretty good. There's a decent amount of detail there. We're enhanced with zoom in. He's got shoulder pads on. I think that this is a solid back sprite. It looks like the guy. There's not much detail missed. It's not particularly epic or excellent or anything, but I think it's a pretty good back sprite. We're going to give that an A tier rank. Now, Aggron is honestly a really great one for number 2 in the game alphabetic. I mean, this is a fantastic sprite. It's an epic looking Pokemon, and when this evolves from Lairon into Aggron and you see it for the first time, it's gonna evoke a sense of wonder. I mean, this is a cool creature. It's got horns on, it's got spiny stuff happening, it's got a color scheme. I think that this is an S tier back sprite, I'm going to be honest. I think it's S tier. It's a fantastic looking Pokemon, and it's a great work of pixel art right there. Up next is Absol, who, this is also a really cool one. I think that if you're a child, this is epic as hell. Especially because I don't think Absol needs to evolve. So you just catch Absol and it looks like this already. It's got the cool, I don't even know what this is. It's a horn. It's sort of a lunar crescent moon horn. I think that the problem with this back sprite is that it's so cool that it's misleading, because Absol's not very good. It doesn't get any physical attacks that are good. It is a dark type, which isn't a good fit on the Pokemon. Free physical special split. I mean, even in later games, the guy isn't great. This looks like a competitive Pokemon or something. It looks like a powerful creature, but it isn't. So that's the only downside to it, is that it looks cooler than it is. But on the sprite artwork alone, I think that it deserves an S tier, to be honest. It's a very cool sprite. I think I appreciate it. Now, up next, we've got Aerodactyl, who is a great competitive Pokemon in Gen 3. It's the fastest guy in the game, with great attacking power and stuff. You can't see much of it, though. This is an example of a Pokemon being obscured in the back sprite. This guy has wings. He's supposed to have wings on. I mean, if you look at the Gen 5 back sprite for comparison, he clearly has wings, and there's a lot more going on with Aerodactyl. The Gen 3 sprite cuts a lot. I think as a child, maybe this would disappoint you, because you see Aerodactyl front sprite, and you're like, what a cool fossilized pterodactyl guy. You send him out, and you can only see his head. It might cause some disappointment. I think we'll give a B tier. I think it's still pretty good. Like, I like his teeth and stuff. He's got horns, but many of his details are non-present. Apom, I think this is a perfectly fine one. This is acceptable. That's what he looks like. He's got a tuft of hair. He's got a hand. You can't see his face, but I mean, there's the sort of a weird perspective with the Gen 3 back sprites. Sometimes they're looking to the side and you can see their face clearly. Sometimes they're looking away from you. Maybe that says something about Apom's personality. He doesn't want to be visible to the trainer. He's focused on battle, and that means that he's a determined Pokemon. He's a Pokemon with battling and fighting spirit, much like Abra. And they stand together. They're a similar size and they have a similar fighting ethos, so we put them together in the A rank. Alakazam is here, and I think that all things considered, they actually fit a lot of detail into this. He's looking to the side, you can see his eye. He's got a good head shape going on. He's got these weird horns. He is holding a spoon. That's one of his most iconic traits, and they have fit that in. But he also looks ready for battle. He looks like he's facing his opponent, and he has a fury in his eyes, and he will reign supreme on the battlefield with a fighting spirit. I think that Alakazam, I'm wondering if this is an A or an S tier. I think that we'll give it a high A tier. I think that's a good back sprite, and they have fit a solid amount of detail into it, all things considered. Up next, we have Altaria. A decent amount of Altaria is obscured. There's more to Altaria's body than this, but I think that they have gotten the gist of Altaria across. The cloudy body going on, the weird, I always thought of this as hair, but it's kind of just like some skin protruding. It's like ears, or tendrils. What are these, folks? What are these things coming off Altaria? This raises some concerns the more I think about it. Now that this back sprite is making me think of things that I didn't want to previously. So now I don't know about this back sprite, but maybe this is actually this is probably a B tier. Maybe we'll add a B plus because it's certainly better than Aerodactyl. It's better than Aerodactyl. So we can add a new row above for B plus tier, and we'll make that the same color as B. And Altaria can be in there because I think it's better than Aerodactyl. It evokes the Pokemon more, but there is detail missing. Ampharos. I think this is honestly a great one. There's a good use of space. They fit in the iconic tail of Ampharos with the red ball on it. He's got his hand up. It's almost a friendly demeanor to Ampharos. It's not a great Pokemon in battle, and this is sort of conveyed in the sprite. It doesn't look like he wants to fight. He looks like he's saying hello to the opponent rather than wanting to engage in much combat. Even though you can barely see much of this eye, the eye has a lot of emotion in there, and it is the emotion of a friend, not a foe. This is a friend of a Pokemon. Even this little red segment is part of Ampharos' body, conveyed through the back sprite. These horns are here. These almost look like a bee's stingers now that I look at it from this perspective. I didn't really think of it like that. Ampharos, I am going to give an S tier. I think it's a good sprite. I think they did a lot with this. I think that they've done good work. Now we have an interesting one. Anorith, I can barely see him. His eyes are freaking me out. What can be said? I think that's a D tier. I don't think that's a good back sprite for Anorith. You can't even see the thing. Where is he? Show me more of Anorith. I need to see more of him. And he's looking back towards me almost with it almost looks like they're looking backwards towards the trainer. And he's like, why did you send me on the field to my death? Why did you do this to me? And that makes me feel bad about myself. So I don't appreciate that. Let's move on from Anorith, who is a Pokemon I don't really want to use anymore. Arbok is here. And I don't know if I love this one. I feel like there's just I suppose there's not their fault, but Arbok just has a lot of pink purple space here with nothing much on it. I felt Arbok's front sprite looks cool. Arbok's back sprite is a little bit more boring. Maybe they could have just shown the tail. Maybe he's in a more interesting pose that's more ready for battle. He's kind of just standing there. He's got an angry look in his eye. But I don't know if I like this one. I think that's a C tier sprite right there, Arbok. Arcanine is up next, and Arcanine is looking pretty good, all things considered. A decent amount of its body is shown. It's got some motion to the hair there. You know, there's some hair. I can't see his eye, but that's okay. That means that he's focused on the battle, which he should be, because I'm using him for battle. I think this is a solid sprite. I think it's probably worthy of B+, high B+. I would not put it... I think these sprites I prefer. Arcanine can be... Or am I being unfair? Maybe this is an A tier back sprite. I don't think that it is particularly epic or that it's evoking much within me, so I'm going to stick to my guns and put it in B+. Ariados is next. At Ariados, I can't see his head. I cannot see the guy's head. I can see the back of his body and the bit of the legs. I can see the whatever these things are, some antennae or something. That's a C tier sprite. I think that's a C tier sprite. It's not particularly exciting. Armaldo, however, we've got some detail here. Armaldo is turning his back to me. He's got they're almost like feathers coming out of him. He's got spikes as well. I think that I think that we can give it an A tier. I like it. Aron, good sprite, right? It's a small fellow, not that hard to fit in frame, but you've gotten him. I think in later games he actually has more of like a determined stance, and he looks like he's poised for battle. This Aron is a bit more, perhaps a pacifist Aron, a less violent Aron. I think that this Aron is the one for me, and I'm going to put him in the A tier. Personally speaking, we're going to put him in the A tier. Articuno. This is interesting because this is missing a lot of detail. However, I kind of like it. Maybe because I associate it with a team. I mean, I've used Articuno in Gen 3 OU quite a bit to moderate success, and I've developed an affinity for the Pokemon. I think it's quite good, in fact, and underrated in Gen 3 OU. So I've seen this back sprite a lot as a user of Articuno, and I think maybe that is clouding my judgment here because it's inconsistent with what I've said before to place it in a higher tier when so much of it is obscured. But I associate this back sprite with a fun Pokemon that I enjoy using. I have an association of triumph with this back sprite, and a Pokemon that I value as a friend and an ally and a comrade. So perhaps Articuno, in my personal ranking, deserves the A tier. I think it deserves the A tier. I will do it. I will put it in there. Azumarill is here, and Azumarill, it's got bunny ears. You can see its tail. You can see the white spots on it. It's got an arm doing like this. It's a kind of a plain back sprite. It's not particularly... It's not bad. It's not actively bad, but it's also not creating much excitement within me, is it? So we're going to put it there. Marill is this, or Ariel? This guy's name escapes me. But he's on a ball, and he looks Mickey Mouse ears, and he's got a zigzag tail. I think the fact that he's on a ball, which is his tail, I think, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, that's bonus points. That's fun. Maybe a high B+. We'll put him above his father of Azumarill. Now, this is Bagon, is it? Yes, Shelgon is the small one. Bagon will eventually become a Salamence. I think this is a good back sprite. He's got, it almost looks like a hairstyle, like a samurai hairstyle or something. He's got a little tooth coming out. It's got personality to it. I enjoyed this back sprite. This little hand as well. He looks like he's ready for battle, but he's not quite there yet because he hasn't evolved into Salamence yet. But he does want to fight. He wants to prove himself on the field, but he's not quite there yet. I think that this back sprite is telling me a story. This back sprite is telling me a saga, and I think for that it deserves S tier, and I would give it to that. Baltoy. Good amount of detail here. You've got the entire Pokemon in frame. You've got the whole Pokemon in frame. Now this is, I'm pondering it. I think it doesn't have much personality, but like Baltoy itself is it's sort of just a guy who's sitting there. It doesn't have much personality to begin with. So in terms of did the sprite artwork do a good job capturing the vibe of the Pokemon? I would say yes. So that I think maybe an A tier is in order for Baltoy. Banette is one of my personal favorite Pokemon, and this is a back sprite I've seen much of as a Banette user in Gen 3 OU. It's a ghost type that is a rare physical attacker because, you know, pre-physical special split, ghost is physical. Most ghosts are special attackers though, except Banette. He's the only one that can use his physical attack stat well, and it's great because he can threaten Tyranitar with HP fighting. Let me tell you all about Banette. I'm going to go on a tirade about Banette. Just kidding. I suppose if I'm being honest, this back sprite is not a masterpiece or anything, but we love Banette, so shall I give it a high ranking anyway, just out of respect for Banette and what he has to offer? This is a pretty good back sprite. That he's got a zipper on, you know. I think it's A tier. A tier for Banette. Let's do that. Barboach is here. Barboach? Who's this evolve into again? Someone good. Whiscash. No, not that good. Good sprite, though. You know, Barboach is a pretty plain Pokemon. Barboach, on its own merits, doesn't evoke excitement from me, but this sprite is doing a lot of heavy lifting. I like the fin on the left with an upward motion. I like the way that he's posed. You know, he could be slithering on the floor like a snake, but he's sort of upright, and he's like, you know, I'm not the best Pokemon in the world, but I'll give it a go for you, my friend. I'll give it my best shot, and I'll raise my fin, and I will do battle for you. And to that, I'm going to give Barboach some respect. I'm going to give Barboach the respect of the A tier, and I think that is smart. And I think that it might be a time to add a new row, because we do have to distinguish some of these A tiers from the others, but some are better than others. We have to admit this. I don't feel comfortable having Baltoy in the same tier as Alakazam. So I think that Alakazam is a better sprite than all of these. I think that I like the Armaldo sprites, and the Aaron sprite and the Barboach sprite deserve a tier higher. That is my summation of things so far, and I hope that you agree, folks. Or really, you can believe whatever you want, because that's the world we live in. Bayleaf. Bayleaf is a good back sprite. This is middle stage evolution of the Chikorita line. An overhated Pokemon. I gotta be honest. I made a video ranking all the starters, and people always ask me to put Meganium at the bottom. I respect Meganium. I think that they were trying to do something with Meganium. He might be the worst competitively, but I don't think that's all you should consider. I mean, I think that there are starters with less artistic merit than Meganium. And Bayleaf, I think, is one of the better middle evolutions design-wise. I like his leaf with a bit cut out of it, and they look like Brussels sprouts almost on his things. He's got a great facial expression too, and a very detailed eye. It's a good work of pixel art, and you can't deny that, can you? We put that in the high A tier. That's what that deserves. A Beautyfly, horrendous Pokemon competitively outclassed by Butterfree, which is rough. But the sprite, though? This is a fantastic sprite. I gotta be honest, the whole Pokemon's in frame. It's beautiful, you know, much like the name suggests. It's got the antennae, a very nice wing with colors and sparkles, and some sort of spiral here, which is something. I don't know what it is. You gotta give this an S tier, I would feel. Isn't this an S tier sprite? That's a good sprite. I respect a sprite like that. Beedrill, an unfortunate Pokemon with little competitive merits. The sprite is pretty cool though. I think that this is a Pokemon loved by children. It's kind of cool. It's a bee with horns for hands. I wish I could see more of the horns. Maybe the horns would be better like up like that, and you can see them clearly, because that's the part that the kids love. More detail on the horns. He's kind of just standing there doing this. You're not playing to Beedrill's strengths with this sprite, I fear. So actually, the more I think about it, maybe a B tier, which is fitting for the bee Pokemon, isn't it? Beldum is kind of plain by design, right? Because it's supposed to evolve and become cooler later on. Beldum is, I suppose, what can I put it besides D tier? It's not got much going on. It's a leg of Metagross that will become something better later on. Blossom? I mean, it's doing the job. This is Blossom. You could maybe play into the cuteness more though. If you showed this to like my grandmother in isolation, they might think that it's like a cactus flower. There's no face on it. There's no, I mean, you know the context that it's Blossom, but in a vacuum, does this evoke Blossom on its own merits? I don't know. It looks like a cactus. It looks like it could be a faceless green creature looking at me with no eyes and asking me why it even exists. I gotta say that perhaps this is a B tier Blossom. Weepin' Bell. That's Weepin' Bell, isn't it? Yes. The leaf is cut off. It's not very exciting. I can't see his eye. Weepin' Bell's a funny Pokemon. Like, you could do something with a Weepin' Bell sprite. I think that I regret to say that I don't know if they've captured Weepin' Bell to the greatest extent. It's a Pokemon with some legs to stand on, and they have not done it. Blastoise, I think it's an S tier. It's a classic design, and they've got all of the traits in view. The cannons, the shell, the face. He's looking towards the opponent. It's a good perspective. He's got a fist. It's an S tier sprite. I think it's an S tier sprite. It's above Ampharos, and I would dare say it's above Absol. Blaziken as well. I have to give some respect. This is for such a, sometimes they're struggling to fit large Pokemon in the frame. They fit most of Blaziken here. You can't see his face, but I think that all the cool aspects of Blaziken are conveyed here. Blaziken was my choice when I played Pokemon Emerald, and I remember thinking the back sprite was cool, didn't I? He's got the cool hair shape. You can see most of him. It feels like you have just earned a powerful Pokemon when this evolves from Combusken. And I think that, would I put it on the same level as some of these though? Because these are great. I think that it's more of a high A+, more of an Alakazam sort of vibe. We got a lot to go, huh? There's a lot of sprites. All right, we might have to rapid fire some of these. Blissey, B tier. I like Blissey, but I don't know, the back sprite, it's an egg. Yeah, I don't know. I suppose it's fine, but B tier it's sort of a middling sprite. Breloom, I really like Breloom's back sprite. I like that the tail is in view. You can see most of him. I guess that he could be, well, I don't know. Breloom always has this vibe where he's kind of just standing there. He doesn't look particularly violent or aggressive. He's not like gonna kill you or anything, but in all his back sprites sort of look like this. It's not as if they changed it later. So from the beginning, I think they got Breloom correct. Let's give it an S tier. Bulbasaur, I have not looked up this sprite so up close before. I love his facial expression. He is not happy to be on the battlefield. He is looking like, I am too young for this. I am a child. What have you done? You've sent me to fight, and I'm not ready for that yet. Send me back into the comfort of my Pokeball where I can thrive better. I have more value there. I don't want to be here right now. This Bulbasaur sprite has told me a story, and for that reason we're putting it in the A+ tier. Let's give it the respect of outclassing Armaldo. Butterfree, this is a great back sprite. You can't deny it. He's got a little clenched fist. He's got the foot, suggesting that he's sort of... This is such personality. He looks almost like a little gnome, but he has a wing. And you can see his whole head. And the fact that Butterfree has like a bit of competitive merit, because he's got Compound Eyes, Sleep Powder, Stun Spore, and Thief. I feel like that fits with the sprite somehow, because he's like, I'm gonna give it my best go. And he did, and he's better than anyone thought he was. And they used him and they thrived. Butterfree is an S tier, absolutely. That's an absolute S tier sprite. Let's put it above Beautyfly. He's outclassed in many domains, Beautyfly. Cacnea, I think this is a pretty cool first stage evolution. He's got spikes on it. A child would like this. I think that that's deserving of a B+. I think it's cool. Cacturn, on the other hand, he's got way less detail on him. You can't really see him. I mean, after seeing Blaziken's back sprite, I wonder what's the excuse of not showing more of Cacturn. Cacturn you could show more of in the back sprites. I think that they got lazy with Cacturn there. Those Pokemon Emerald developers, they didn't do it correctly. They didn't do it. Camerupt. Camerupt is one of my favorite guys of all time, and I gotta say, this is only 50% of Camerupt. Show more of my favorite fellow. Show more of him. There's more to show. You can't even see his head. You can see the top of his tuft of hair and some of his volcano back. You can't even see all of the blue circle on his body. What have you done to my boy? Show more of Camerupt. That's a C tier for Camerupt. They could have done better. This is Caravana. This is good. This is a good back sprite. The angry eye, and most of him is visible, and he's kind of cool. I think that this would evoke imagination in a child, and A+. A+ for Caravana. Silcoon is, I mean, that's an immediate D tier. There's barely anything of him. The cast forms are all pretty cool. The water cast form, it's a nice water drop, a very aesthetic, and with the orb in the middle. I think that this is A tier, and I think, dare I say, that the hail form is the best looking one with the spiral. If you send out cast form as a child, you've never seen his different forms before. Hail's on the field, he transforms into this. You might let out a gasp of excitement at the sheer wonder. So I would give cast form an A+ tier. On the other, this might disappoint you as a child. The front sprite looks great. The back sprite, though, you got bulbous orbs, sort of trying to look like the sun, but it looks more like a gelatin dessert at a, I don't know, a themed restaurant or something like that. I don't know. C tier for that one. And regular cast form, probably also C tier, although this has more personality because of the little tendril of hair and the eyeball. So let's put that in the B tier above, put him above Cacturne. Caterpie? It's a hard one to mess up, and I think that they've done fine with Caterpie. I think that you could give this an A tier. It's a cute little guy, and there's not much of him, so it's easy to fit him in the frame, of course. Celebi, they have done good work. I like the hand is in a position of like that evokes some sort of emotion, of like a carefree attitude, you know, like he's flying through the air and it doesn't have a care in the world. You can see the wings and the antennae and the eye, onion-shaped head. I think A+ for the Chansey sprite. We can put him above Armaldo. I said Chansey, I think. I meant Celebi, because Chansey's next. Chansey. I think this is better than the Blissey sprite. I like the hair more, but you can't really... We'll put him next to Blissey, but above. It's a better sprite, don't you think? It's you can see a fuller picture of the Pokemon, but I don't know. It's still not particularly exciting. Charizard, I think, deserves S tier. That's an awesome sprite. It's a great use of space. You can see his entire head very clearly. It's an iconic Pokemon. You have to get this one right. And I think when you send Charizard out, and when you get him first and you see his back sprite, I'm sure it does the job. It creates the epic feeling of having a Charizard, and I think that's an S tier Pokemon. And we can't put him above Butterfree because Butterfree's excellent. Let's rank up Butterfree here in the ranks. Charmander is also, I think you give it an A+. It's done a fine job. You can see all the iconic features. Charmeleon, much the same, to be honest. I actually think this is an even better work of pixel art here. The fire going in a different direction. Maybe in his adolescence, Charmeleon is going in a different direction, symbolized by the tail changing trajectories. Jimothy's reading too much into the back sprites of Pokemon, as he tends to do. Chikorita sprite. This is good. I like this. It's a cute Pokemon. He's got a leaf. He's got a glimmer in his eye. Hope for the future, and that will be shattered once people see all the videos on YouTube about how he's the worst Pokemon of all time. I don't think that ill of you, Chikorita. I think that you evolve into a fine and respectable Pokemon. So don't worry about all that. Let's give Chikorita the respect of the A+ through the A tier. Chimecho, I think that's a D tier. You send this out and you go, okay. You know, there's not much of him. What even is this? Where's his face? Where's the iconic thing up below? You can't even see the guy. Chinchou. I had this Pokemon when I was a child. I think I liked it. He's got orbs. What are these, anglerfish sort of things? High B tier? I don't know if I'd put him on the level of like Altari is a pretty good sprite, so it was Arcanine. So I don't know. Yeah, that's about right. B tier. Clamperl, D tier. Not exciting, right? Claydol? I think Claydol's a pretty good sprite. It's a detailed sprite. And it's a competitive Pokemon I've used a lot. Switching into Claydol creates a feeling of relief because he's immune to electric and he chip heals in the sand and he rapid spins away all the spikes and he provides breathing room. He provides a breath of fresh air to me. So that's clouding my judgment. I'm going to admit to my bias, but I think that we give Claydol, give it a high B+. You can't in good conscience put him above, some of these pretty good ones. But it's a solid sprite that I can't complain about. The Clefairy line here, I think these are adequate. These are pretty good. I like Clef's tiny hand. That's fun. Let's rank them all in B+. I think B+ is appropriate for all of these. And if I had to rank them individually, I think that you would put, I guess Clefable is number 1, and then Cleffa above Clefairy. Let's do it like that. Let's do that. Cloyster. A lot of detail, not a lot of personality. I think Cloyster's iconic face with the cheeky grin, you should have included that in the back sprite somewhere. Maybe it's hard to do. Maybe just the eye. I think the eye would do a lot of heavy lifting here. You can't even see his main clam body anywhere, just a shell. You show this to my grandmother, they might think that this is like a rock of some sort, a purple rock with spikes coming out of it. Does it look like a Pokemon creature, fully formed? Doubtful. We'll put him in, I think either C or D tier, maybe a C tier. It's better because the shell has a lot of detail on it. They did good there. Combusken, this is a good one. If I show this to my grandmother, there's no denying what this is. It is a fantastical chicken creature with a fighting spirit, a fire fighting type in its fullest form. He's got the hand going out this way to signify a sense of confidence, the hand on the hip as well. There's a lot going on here. I would dare say that this is an S tier sprite. I think that they've done great work with Combusken. I really do. Corphish, they've done a lot with a little here. Corphish has its claws firmly up in the air, shouting for joy. It is a young spirit with hope for the future. You can see a bit of his eye. I think that this has personality to it. A+ tier for core fish folks. That's a good one. That's a good Pokemon. Corsola? I don't think that this is playing to Corsola's strengths whatsoever. Corsola is quite an elegant and cute looking Pokemon. I can't even see Corsola at all. It looks like some coral from the ocean floor. Does it look like a creature? No, my grandmother will not even know what the hell they're looking at if faced with Corsola's back sprite here. So that's DT. You could have done better for Corsola. Cradily, I feel similarly. I will put it above Corsola though, because it's got the nice flower, but a lack of detail, I think. Groudon, I think, is pretty damn cool. I think that they've done good work. I like his golden star. I mean, the design is good, of course. Even though some of him is obscured, they've gotten like the gist of him down very well. The claw is an important addition. The claw doing this. I think that this would be a cool Pokemon to have as a child. Maybe high B+. No, let's give him A tier. Let's give him the respective A tier. Crobat. Crobat is pretty cool. That's also, I think that also deserves an A tier for that one. Let's give it A tier. This is Croconaw. I think this is great. I think this is a great sprite. This is brimming with personality. Some of it is cut off, but they've gotten the spirit of the Pokemon perfectly. He's a little guy. He's got an outstretched hand, almost like he doesn't know how to use his hand or something, but he's there. That's S tier. I really like this sprite. That's good. That's a good one. Cubone. I'm also putting an S tier. Great sprite. That he's holding a bone. I like the position of his head is great. He's looking upwards, like he's so small, but he's looking up at his opponent and he's like, I'm gonna get you with my little bone. I have the thick club boost. Do you know? I have doubled attack stat. You wouldn't know the first thing about all that. Cyndaquil. I mean, we love the flames. We love the flames. I think Cyndaquil A+. Cyndaquil A+. Delcatty, maybe a B tier. I never really liked Delcatty. I feel like it's just a normal type that's like way worse than the other ones. He's good in the contests. Did you guys play the contests? I didn't play that. I did battles. I'm a battler, me personally. Delibird, that's a good sprite. There's a lot going on here. There is a lot going on with Delibird. Much of him is displayed. You've got side profile face, hand outstretched. A+ tier for Delibird, I think. Good sprite. Now this is Deoxys. This is Deoxys Attack right here. Deoxys Attack. I mean, for such a legendary fellow that is so hard to obtain, this might be a bit disappointing. There's not much of him. Some of the other legendaries are just awesome looking. This one, I don't know. This might be a bit disappointing. Maybe a C tier, to be honest. Deoxys Defense, similar. Deoxys Neutral has more going on. That's like an A+, I think. Much more detail on Deoxys Neutral and a good design too. I like the weird earpiece things, and the hand going up like this is fun. Deoxys Speed is also maybe a bit better than the other Deoxyses. Nah, I can't in good conscience say that. That's about the same. And for some reason, Deoxys Normal is here again. Let's put you at the very bottom so as not to be distracted by you moving forward. This is Seal, or is it Dugong? Dugong. I mean, you can see his face. I suppose that's bonus points, but I don't know. I think it's a bad sprite. Diglett. I mean, what were they supposed to do with Diglett? He's just a little mole. You gotta at least show his face, though. If I show this to my grandmother, she might be concerned, you know? That's D tier for Diglett tier. Ditto, you can't complain. He's got outstretched hands. They've done pretty well. Not every Pokemon has to have its face visible. How are you supposed to do that with Ditto? It's a bit awkward. I think that they've done pretty good work. A tier. Dodrio. This is my favorite Pokemon of all time. And, how do I feel about the Dodrio back sprite? I think they could have done better here. I think they could have done Dodrio more justice. It's a Pokemon with a lot of potential for a great work of art. It's got 3 heads, each with their own personality. I mean, they've got Central Head is making a statement with mouth open. Other 2 heads are more quiet heads. They're more reserved heads. In a vacuum, you look at this sprite, it almost looks like 3 bird heads are growing out of some dirt. You can't really tell that he is a bird. It makes you realize that context does a lot of heavy lifting with these back sprites. Like, knowledge of the Pokemon beforehand is helping you out, because this, if you just saw this by itself, you don't even know what Dodrio is. This might be like an existential nightmare. What the hell is happening here? You would have little idea that, especially the middle one almost looks like he's growing in an awkward angle. Yeah, this is a bit, as much as I hate to admit it, because I'm a Dodrio fanatic, but that's a C tier. Doduo, I think, is a bit better. It's harder to mess up. There's more space between the heads. The heads also, they've got like a dead stare in their eye. Like they're cold-blooded killers, these two. Yeah, that's better than Dodrio's sprite. Doduo, they've done better. We'll put that in B tier. I still think that, yeah, B tier above, we'll put him above Dugong and Chin Chow. He's better than them. Donphan, this is like where, this is exactly what I'm talking about with the problem with Gen 3 sprites. Like, half of him is cut off. Did they have to? They've shown more detail on other guys. He's got trunk outstretched. You can't even see his eye. You can't see any defining features. In a vacuum, what even is this? Like a tire that got... Is this a tire that got cut in half and spread across a stone? Like, this does not look like Donphan whatsoever in a vacuum. You got to know beforehand that this is Donphan. That's a D tier. That's a D tier sprite. It doesn't even look like the guy. Dragonair. This is a good one. There's no confusing what it is. There's no confusion. It's just an iconic. He's got the little ball. It's an elegant pose. It's got wings on the head. That's S tier. That's S tier for certain. There's a lot going on there, and it's great. Dragonite, I think, is pretty good. I think Dragonite is pretty good. I mean, it's a large Pokemon. You can't fit the whole guy in frame. I think Gen 4's sprite shows his face more and has more detail like that. This one, for such an iconic pseudo-legendary, it's slightly unexciting, but better than some other ones. Maybe a B tier for that. Dratini, yeah, maybe a B plus for Dratini is fair to me. Drowsy, I think it's pretty good. He looks disappointed. He's got his little trunk. Yeah, this is fine. This is a fine one. Let's put him in here. Sure. There you go, Dratini. Sorry, Drowsy. Doug Trio. This looks like 3 chocolate ice cream scoops. That's 3 chocolate ice cream scoops. Let's go next to Dodrio. Dunsparce. Pretty good. That's pretty good. He's got his wings. He's got his eye. You can see him clearly. Maybe a high B plus. Maybe that could deserve an A. Let's put him in A, out of respect. Dusclops, another Pokemon I'm quite fond of that I've used in competitive. Never really thought about his back sprite too hard until this very moment, and I must say, it's alright. It's okay. Maybe a B tier for Dusclops and Duskull, who are similar looking here. B tier for them. Dustox is horrendous. That's the worst sprite yet. I mean, what is the excuse? He's so tiny. We've seen tiny Pokemon be fully fleshed out in their full glory. I think that they had not enough development time or something. The artists were overworked and they did Dustox in an afternoon, which I suppose fair enough to them. Maybe Nintendo was making you overwork or something. But I don't know, this does not look exciting whatsoever. As a child, this would be straight up disappointing. You got to invest in Nincada or whoever it is. Who's the guy who evolves into Dustox? One of those. And this is what I get? I can't even see my Pokemon. The worst sprite in the game so far. Eevee, pretty good. That's one you got to get right, and they've got it mostly right. They've done pretty good. B plus, I think. B plus up here. Ekans, this is damn good. This is a good work of pixel art. Ekans is looking confused. He's a little bit shocked. Doesn't know why he's here. A great pose. It's the tail visible. I think A plus for Ekans, folks. A plus for Ekans. Does Deoxys Normal really deserve A plus? Maybe a high A. No, I quite like the sprite, actually. We'll maintain A plus position for that one. Electabuzz. This is unexciting to me. I think that they could have done better. Electabuzz is a Pokemon with some personality to it. They could have done some more work with that. Electrike. This is good. This is good. They've done well. It's not even it's actually an unexciting Pokemon. There are so many better electric types, but you might be convinced otherwise by the sprite alone. I think sending this out would evoke a friendly vibe. This is a friendly looking Pokemon. He looks like my dog. He looks like he is my dog. I'm going to put him in the A plus tier. We'll put him besides Ekans. Electrode, I mean, what were they supposed to do? He's Pokeball Pokemon. The fact that like you can only see a little bit of his grin, maybe it was a misstep. Elekid, do I like this or do I not like this? I think we'll put him in B. It's sort of middling. Entei could have been better here. Entei's a very cool Pokemon. He's very cool. I don't think that this is like offensively bad or anything, but they could have done something cooler for Entei for the back sprite. I will put Entei in B plus. That might even be too generous. Put him in B. Espeon. I think Espeon is like acceptable. It's pretty good. A bit plain though, I must say. It's sort of a B tier moment for Espeon. Execute. I have never really used this Pokemon much or thought much about it, but I think that they've done pretty well. I think they're missing some eggs, but that's not a big deal. I mean, you can miss a couple eggs. These eggs are animated. They're in different positions. They're telling a story to me. They're cracked. Why are they here? They're having existential dread, maybe, in many ways. No pun intended. And, you know, I can see the face of all 3 eggs except the one closest to me who is clearly upside down, which in other situations I might mark as a detriment, but in this situation it kind of adds some personality. Like, he's a clumsier egg and he's not even the right way up. They could have easily just put a face on the top there, but they chose not to. That's a bit of, you know, they've done something with that. Exegute. Dare I put it in the S tier? I actually think it's a pretty damn nice work of pixel art. Let's give him respect. Let's give him the respect of S tier. Executor. I think I'm gonna give this a lot of bonus points because of the head that is looking back towards the trainer with a grin on his face that is just looking dastardly. I mean, as a child, this might get a laugh out of me. I sent out Executor and like one of the heads looking towards the opponent, one of the heads looking back towards me saying, "Hello, trainer, how are you?" I'm looking in between the leaves here. How are you, buddy? What do you want me to do? Explosion? I will accept my death. I will accept my death on your behalf, trainer. I will use explosion and I will be happy about it. A+ tier for Executor. A+ tier for Executor there. Explout. This is a good one. This is cool. I think that, you know, a lot of people request that I use Explout on my streams, and I always wonder why, because it's a pretty plain Pokemon. I think I might know why, though. Now, you see this back sprite as a child? This looks like it's a powerful guy. It's not that good in-game or in competitive, but this back sprite might convince you otherwise. This is cool. This is a cool one. I think that maybe maybe an S tier, like the detail on it. It's sort of in this category, you know? I almost might upgrade Ekans to S tier. I really like the Ekans sprite, don't you think, folks? Don't you think the Ekans sprite is pretty cool? I'll give some respect to the Ekans sprite. Is Breloom deserving of an S tier? And it's a bit of bias on my part. I like Breloom. We'll ponder that later. Far-fetched? Okay, I think this is a great sprite. The eye is doing a lot of emotional work. And the leak in the hand, this is like a nice, it's almost got a style to it. It's got a style going on. I give Far-fetched some respect. That's S tier. I really like the Far-fetched back sprite. Fearow? I don't like Fearow. I don't really like it. It's one of the more plain Pokemon in the series. Feebas? This is a good back sprite. He's got a can opener on his dorsal fin, some have told me, and that's such useful utility outside of battle. A dead look in his eyes, he does not want to be on the field at all. He was not made for this. Send him back into the Pokeball immediately. Do not put him on the field. What is he doing here? That being said, he has hypnosis, and he could put people to sleep. Absolutely devastating. And yet you wouldn't think it looking at him. I'm putting Feebas in. I like the Feebas sprite. A+. A+ for Feebas sprite. For Alligator, I mean, this is a controversial sprite in many ways. I think that you gotta give it S tier, or at least A+. For Alligator is a great sprite right there. This is Fluffy, pre-evolved form of Ampharos. This one's making me think. Fluffy. What do we think about Fluffy? This could be a genius level Pokemon. This could be a Pokemon for geniuses. I would rank Fluffy in. Wait, is it fair to rank Ampharos so much? I think the Ampharos sprite is better. The Ampharos sprite is more detailed. It's got more going on. The Fluffy sprite, I think it's honestly, it's a B+. It's a B+. Flareon, C. I think that it's better than Espeon. Like, it's better than Espeon. It has more. The fire looks cooler, but I can't in good conscience put it in B+, I think. Yeah, B tier is fair for that. Flygon, I think, is good. I think Flygon's good. I love his hand. His hand is good. S tier. S tier for the hand. Thorotris, it's gotta be D tier. That is as like a mound of matter. It looks like a moon crater. Thurret, S tier. Thurret sprite is a work of art. Look at this. He's so determined. He's looking to the heavens for guidance. And so much of his character is visible. He's got such determination. It's such a wonderful work of art right here. It's above even Croconaw. It's above all of them. It's above Absol even. I have admiration for the Thurret back sprite. Gardevoir is, I mean, they've gotten it pretty good for a Pokemon that there's a lot of space to cover, so a pretty efficient use of space, I would say. The hand position is evocative of some elegance. We'll put that in the A tier for Gardevoir. Good one. Ghastly, I think could they have done more here? I mean, it's a simple Pokemon. It's an orb with a face and some smoke coming off of it. Could they have shown more of the orb? Would that have been a smart idea? Perhaps not. Perhaps this is enough of the orb to show. I'll put a Ghastly in acceptable tier, B+. That's an acceptable sprite. Gengar. Now, here's an interesting one. Gengar, I've never had any issues with the Gengar sprite. It's a Pokemon you use and you see all the time in competitive play for Gen 3. I've seen this sprite many times. Now I'm staring face to face with it in a more critical lens. Do I think Gengar is a good sprite or a bad sprite? It's not excellent. It's not like on the level of that Thurret sprite, which was just a masterpiece, really. But it's pretty good. You can see his grin. He's kind of just standing there. He's not very animated. Maybe an A tier for Gengar. A tier. A tier for Gengar. Geodude, I think I will give an A plus for the clenched fist in the air, which is giving this, it's a simple design and they have sort of given it a bit more flair and given it more personality. Giraffe, a rig. The tail with the face on it is fun. Out of respect for the tail with face on it, A tier. Out of respect for that. Glalie. If you can show Ghastly's face, you can show Glalie's face. Where's Glalie's face? This is like a soccer ball with some spikes on it. This is not Glalie. D tier. Gligar, a famous Game of Thrones YouTuber. The back sprite, the front sprite's good. The front sprite is good. The back sprite, he's got hands in air. There's a bit of animation. There's a bit of merit to this. Maybe it's a B+. It's a B+ sort of moment for Gligar sprite. Gloom, C tier, unexciting. Golbat, same as that. Goldeen. This is Goldeen. I've never seen this sprite or thought about much about it, but I have to give it some respect. They've done pretty good work here. You can see most of it. It's actually quite a beautiful Pokemon. It had a role in the anime, so maybe they put a bit of extra care into it for that reason. I'm going to give it the respect of the A+ tier, to be honest with you. I think that's a pretty nice looking sprite there. Golduck, I'm a fan of this sprite personally. I like Golduck's, like the way his back is sort of forward a bit, and you can't see his eye, but I think that's okay. There's something cool about this to me. I find this to be a cool sprite, so I'm going to put him in A+, personally speaking. I like the Golduck sprite. Golem, D tier. What is this? Where is he? The rock with hand? Isn't this an icon of the rock type from the first gen? What have you done? Where is he? Gorbis? They did some good work with his eye. The eyelash looking lovely. Bit of tuft of skin, flesh stuff coming out. Good sprite, I think. A+ for Gorbis. Off the back of the eye. Granbull, this is an interesting one. I would say a plain looking sprite except for the clenched fist, which adds such personality, it's kind of insane. The clenched fist is doing a lot for me here. The way that it's clenched is so... I think there's like an image of a rat clenching its fist. It reminds me of that. I mean, look at this thing. He's about to do an uppercut and get you. S tier might be a bit much for this, but I think it deserves A+ off the back of the clenched fist. We're going to put him high A+, above that of Cyndaquil. Garbage tier, D. Grimer. This one has unlocked me for a second. D. C. It's got an I, but it's just sludge. Now, Groudon. The Pokemon named Groudon. Universally pronounced in the same way by all people. S tier. It's an iconic design. They've done it justice. This is damn cool. I had a Pokemon Ruby as a child. I got a Groudon, and I had fun with Groudon. And I sent him on the field, and I let out a gasp of excitement. And I will remember that forever. Grovyle. This is good. I like this. I think that they tend to do good work with the starters. I guess those are the ones that you see first, so they have to get them right. And I think that it shows. Like, it's pretty simple, but it's kind of like cool. It evokes something within me. So I would give it the respect of the A+ tier for Grovyle. Growlithe is solid. It's cute. We'll give it a B+. It's a solid one. Grumpig. It's a good amount of detail here. Them showing most of Grumpig. I like Grumpig. It's an underrated design in my opinion, visual. They could have given it more animation or something though. Grumpig could have been like, I mean, maybe it makes sense he's a pig. He's sort of just sitting there. Maybe that adds up. All right. I mean, is it an A tier or an A+ tier? Okay, let's honestly shift some of these around. I think that a Bayleaf is deserving of A+ tier actually now that I'm looking at it. I think that I like the Bayleaf sprite. And is Grumpig on the level of these? I think no. No, let's put him up. I actually like him now. Now that I've thought about it for a bit longer. Who is this guy? Swinub, not Swinub. Gulpin. Is that right? Gulpin. He evolves into Swalot. Little guy, little fellow, C tier. Gyarados, his mouth is agape. They've got his neck, big head. Yeah, I've never had much problem with this sprite in the past, but I gotta say, looking at it here, this is one of the most epic Pokemon in the game. They could have done more. They could have made this cooler. I think that they could have made this cooler. The neck detail, good, but they could have done more with this. We'll put him next to Claydol. Hariyama, I think this is like a 3D sprite with the hands in different positions. This is good. And he's a very large Pokemon. So I think they've done a good job showing a lot of him in the back sprite, which they've struggled with. Like, you compare this to like the Golem sprite. They just gave up with Golem. Hariyama, they're like, let's show a lot of this thing. Let's also make him have hands doing stuff to show that he's like isn't he like a sumo wrestler? I think that this is a respectable sprite that I would put in the A+ tier. Haunter, cool sprite. honestly. I remember liking this as a kid. It's a hard design to mess up. It's a cool looking ghost with a mouth. The little hand is doing a lot for me. A plus for Haunter. A plus for Haunter. We still got a lot to go, folks. We still got a lot to go, and I'm gonna do them all. Heracross. A little bit plain. C tier. Hitmonchan. I like the boxing glove. He's in position. For that, I give him some respect of B plus tier. Hitmonlee. A little bit plain. C tier. Hitmontop. They went crazy with this one. He's upside down. He's very animated. He's doing a break dance. I have to give this a lot of respect in the A plus tier. They did some work with that. Ho-Oh. It seems like with a lot of the big birds, they did not show the entire body of them. Some of them, though, they gave him, like, you can see the wings at least. Like Charizard, I think they did excellent work with Charizard's sprite, even though they don't show the whole guy. All the important details are there. Ho-Oh. If I'm a child and I got a legendary Pokemon of Ho-Oh, is this like the coolest thing of all time? Not really, but it's not offensively bad or anything either, so I'm gonna put it B plus Ho-Oh. Hoot Hoot. C tier. Hoppip. It's cute. It's fine. B tier. Horsey. This is a good sprite. This is a good one. He's in full view. This little eye looks insane. He looks psychotic, to be honest. The fin is saying something. This guy's top tier in Gen 3 ZU. So that's A plus for me. I like the Horsey sprite. Houndoom. I think pretty cool. Pretty cool sprite. My immediate instinct is like that it's a bit plain though. So probably sort of like a B tier for Houndoom and Houndour. Huntail is, I'm put this right next to Gorbis, a similar amount of detail on it, and they're both adjacent Pokemon, and in fact Huntail has got a big head that's showing a lot of his face. It's a pretty good sprite. Hypno's good. They've got the hypnotist's watch or whatever that is in there. They do. Somehow it's unexciting to me, but I like the hypnotist's watch. Probably a B plus is what that deserves. Igglybuff. I don't think I like this one. I don't think my grandmother might think this is like a gelatinous dessert or something, not a little creature. This almost looks like cast form, but where is his head? Like, where is his face? They can't always show the face, but at least if you're not showing the face, you should convey the Pokemon well. I don't know if I like this one. I think Igglybuff D tier, to be honest. Volbeat or Illumise. I don't know which one. I think it's Illumise, this one. Pretty good. Good detail. B+. Ivysaur. I think if you compare this to Bayleaf has a better sprite. They could have shown more of Ivysaur's actual body. They're mostly the plant. This is like 90% plant here. My grandmother would not know whatsoever that this is a fantastical Pokemon creature that can shoot a razor leaf. Not even a little bit. This does not pass the grandmother check. I might have to give it's a rare starter in the low tier. The flower has a lot of great detail, but this does not look like Ivysaur. No. Jigglypuff, this is an icon of Pokemon. They could have done something with this. This is very plain for such a beloved Pokemon that's even in Super Smash Brothers. So that's another C tier for me. Jirachi, I think that in terms of personality, the little hands doing this are really carrying. It's a small Pokemon, so it's not hard to fit it in the frame. I think they could have done better, but I'm not complaining too much about this. A B+. Jolteon. I've always been a fan of Jolteon's back sprites. I think that just looks like the guy. I think in later gens, don't they have him doing like more of a battle-ready stance? I don't know. I've always liked this sprite, so I'm gonna put it in A+ personally. My opinion. Jumpluff, a little bit plain. This is a cute Pokemon. You could have done something. Jumpluff, C. Jinx. Not the world's most popular visual design, and the back sprite. He's got a little hand with some weird gelatinous looking fingers. You can't even see it's all hair. As D tier, actually. Who even is this? Kabunite? Little Kabutops? Kabuto. It looks like an M&M, dude. That's not him. Kabutops is pretty cool. From my memory, though, I think the Gen 4 sprite has it beat, so it'd be B+ for that one. Kadabra is holding the spoon. You compare this to the Alakazam sprite, I think that the Alakazam sprite is a lot better, and it has a lot more going on. Does his head look too small to you guys? It's like a child wearing a jacket that's too big. This looks like a leathered jerkin that's too large. Okay. B tier for Kadabra. Kakuna? Kakuna's a boring thing. What's to be done about Kakuna? I think. Where did he just end up? C? I've lost Kakuna. Wherever he is, that's where he is. And he'll remain there for the rest of time. Kangaskhan. This is S tier. This is a stroke of genius. Kangaskhan's little baby, usually in the pouch. Here they want to show the baby, which is genius. It's the most iconic part of the Pokemon. And it's on the shoulder, or it's like in her arm. And it's It's got such personality for such a small work of sprite work. A little look of confusion and like, what am I doing here on the battlefield? Kangaskhan is like, I am taking my son to work and I don't care who knows it. Absolute S tier sprite for Kangaskhan. Wonderful little detail there that adds a huge amount. Kecleon, this is good. Kecleon's good. The pose, the detail, that's just a solid one. It could be S tier. I think that might be a bit hasty. High A+. I'm going to put it in. Kingdra. Kingdra I'm a big fan of. It's not that large of a Pokemon. You could have shown more detail, probably. The head is well done, though. There's a look in his eye that says something to me. I don't know what. But I think that B+. Sure. Kingdra can be B+. This is D tier. This is nothing. This is the 12 Apostles in Victoria, Australia, and a giant claw has come to, like a kraken from the ocean is coming to destroy them. That's what that is. This does not look like Crab. Isn't this Krabby? That is not him. Or is it Kingler? Even worse. Curly is back sprite. The pose has got a lot of personality. I think that this is quite a good one. We're going to put that in A+. Coughing is a good... Okay, that was Kingler, actually. I think, because Krabby is here, and it's a much better sprite. Anyway, Coughing is good. I love the smile on his face. He's at a good profile view. It's important to... If this was just a... Like with other Pokemon, they've just made it so it's just the back of him with nothing. They did something here with Coughing, and it's a simple Pokemon that it was probably hard to get much out of, but hey, they did it, and for that, A+. A+ for you, Coughing designer. And Krabby is here with much more going on. Why did they not show Kingler being like a creature? Sometimes they just decide, like, I'm not going to show the Pokemon, you know? It's a bit weird. It's a bit funny as well. But here's Krabby, and Krabby, I think, deserves an... Would it be an A+? Maybe a high A tier. By the way, Kakuna ended up in the A tier. That's not right. That's a C tier. Kyogre has got to be a disappointing one, folks, surely. Like, this is the most powerful legendary in the world, and this is the sprites. I can't even see my Pokemon. This looks like a submarine, like a regular old dolphin, maybe. They did not capture the sheer power of Kyogre whatsoever in this, and that's a D tier. That would be my summation. Lairon also D tier. What am I looking at? Lantern is better. He's got a smile on his face. He's ready for battle. He's immune to electric type attacks, and he knows it. B+ tier. Lapras. He's in view, and he's ready to go. He's immune to water type attacks, and he knows it. I think that Lapras, B+ tier. Larvitar. This is good. He's got a detailed eye. Could be better. B+ tier. Latias and Latios. I actually like, when you look at them side by side, it's kind of nice, because they both have a different look in their eyes. Latias is less violent. Latias has got more of like a caring spirit. Latios, on the other hand, is just going to hit you with Dragon Claw and kill you in one hit KO. And Thunder with Kyogre's Rain Boost is going to defeat you in a single hit with a higher special attack stat. Latias is more self-sacrificing and altruistic. Latios a little bit more ruthless. I like the addition of the hand doing this. That adds something. They didn't have to do that. They added the hand, and the hand was helpful to me. Body pretty obscured, but the neck shape is cool. Somehow I think that they did all right with Latios and Latias. So we're going to go with, these can be A+. I think that they did pretty good work. Ledian and Lediba. I like him. I like his he's shouting for joy. His wings are flapping. It's a bad Pokemon, but the sprite, you can't complain too much about the sprite. A+ tier for Ledian and Lediba, respectively. They're doing something with that. Licky Tongue. Shout out to Fella. Licky Tongue. They didn't do Licky Tongue justice here. It's a bit plain. It could have been more cheeky. Could have been more fun. We're going to go C tier for Licky Tongue. Not a ranking of the Pokemon. It's a ranking of the sprite representing the Pokemon, which could have been better. This is Lilip. It looks like a cup runneth over. I actually kind of like the perspective going on here. They kind of went crazy with that, but it's probably B tier. Linoon. I like his curvature. I like his curvature and his blue eye with a determined look. This is honestly, it's simple, but I think it's good. It's a simple but good sprite. I think as a child, this would be a cool Pokemon to evolve from Zigzagoon. You'd be like, oh, this guy's got some battle merit, maybe. A tier for Linoon, I think. A+ is getting crowded. Lombre. I like Lombre, but you can't even see him. I can't see him. I would say the same about Lotad, with both in the C tier. Loudred, I can see clearly. I like his pumped fist. A tier for Loudred. Ludicolo can go next to Gardevoir. Could be A+. Let's give Gardevoir more respect than this. Ludicolo can go next to his children, which are in the... Where are they? Here. Dude, it's actually worse. This is you can't even see the guy. It's such a cool design. One of my favorite Pokemon, and I can't even see him. Lugia, S tier. This is much better than Ho-Oh as a back sprite. I can see much more of him. He's got a shape that looks legendary. That's a good back sprite. S tier. Lunatone, A+ tier for Lunatone. That's a pretty good sprite. He's fully visible. He sort of looks wondrous. He sort of looks magical. Luvdisc, D tier. What is that? He looks like someone put him in MS Paint and sort of shrunk him with the stretch tool. He doesn't look right. Machamp, I think A+ for Machamp. I think that Machoke is even better. Machoke is even better. So I would put this above Machamp and even above Gardevoir, Leedian, and all these, to be honest. This is an S tier sprite. I like it. I think it's doing a lot. It looks kind of like a guy at the from the gym. He's got a great facial expression, and Machop, I think, is a S tier sprite as well. And this is going above. I mean, the fist, the look of determination, that's a good sprite right there. Basically, you just put some little detail and it does a lot, you know? You put some little bit of, like some they didn't even try. And you just put a little bit of a flair on it and it will do a lot for you. Magby, actually compared to other baby Pokemon, this has a good amount of detail on it. But I would probably put it in the B+ tier. Magcargo is a famous Pokemon known for its competitive viability. I think that Magcargo has a serious goofy charm to him, and you could evoke that more in the sprites. You could lean more into that. This is a bit plain for Magcargo, who's an iconic Pokemon beloved by all. Many consider him a staple of competitive play as well. There's C tier for this Magcargo sprite, although I like you can't put Magcargo too low. He's too iconic. He's too genius level. Magikarp, a pretty good sprite for Magikarp. I like the sort of flat-looking fin that's crown-shaped. Good amount of detail. Actually a pretty nice sprite for like a low-level fellow. It could deserve an A+ tier even. Yeah, like this guy doesn't look out of place among these, I would say. Let's give him some respect. How many more we got? A lot, folks. Magmar, unexciting at a glance, maybe a B tier. Magnemite, C tier. Magneton, C tier as well. Makuhita, I like the fist. You give him a fist and I rank him high. That's how it goes. A+. Manectric, I feel like if you evolve this from Electrike, you might be disappointed. Electrike's sprite is so good compared to this. I can barely see him. There's a shadow covering him for some reason. Where is his eye? Well, you could easily put his eye in there. You can barely see any of his body. Kind of looks like Ki-Adi-Mundi from Star Wars the prequel. Let's go ahead and put that in the C tier. Mankey. Now, Mankey has 2 raised fists, and we know what that means. That makes him an S tier Pokemon. No, I'll put this in A tier. A+. A+ for Mankey. I like it. I like a monkey. Mantike. I can't see him. Where is he? C tier. Mareep. Acceptable. B tier. Marill. Could have done better with this. It's a pretty iconic Pokemon. C tier. Marowak. I think it's good. S tier? Maybe not. A high A+. Marshtomp. The raised hands are doing a lot for me right now. They're doing a lot for me right here. I think that's A+ as well. Masquerain is honestly rather beautiful. I think that they've done pretty nice work with their wings there, and they've shown a lot of him, so A+ tier for that. What about... Now, this is a brilliant one. That's S tier. I like that he's facing you. Mawile is facing you. That's like flavorful. That's cool. Because when you're up against Mawile, it's got its back turned towards you. That's great. That's like a flipping of the script. It's like a, Medicham. This is a Pokemon I'm fond of. I like his stance, Not a masterpiece of sprite work, but it's fine. It's fine. Maybe a B+ for that, for Medicham. Meditite is a bit nicer because it's meditating, which I think is a little bit more personable. Meganium is at least A+. It's a lovely looking Pokemon. He's got a smile on his face. A+ above. Let's put him above some of these. Meowth has a hand. I repeat, he has a hand. Is it a good hand? Yes. That hand is doing a lot for me. The hand is helping me. A+ tier for Meowth. Metagross is one of the most disappointing sprites in the game. I can't even see him. He's a powerful pseudo-legendary, and this is what you've given me? He looks like... This does not look like him. It looks like one of those in Halo or something that in the middle here would a hologram would appear and it would display a message telling me that Obi-Wan Kenobi is my only hope. Does it look like a Metagross the Pokemon? No, not even in the slightest. The Gen 4 Metagross back sprite is significantly better. This is a disappointment. D tier. Metang, a bit more... I guess it's a bit better than Metagross, but not by much. Maybe a C tier for Metang. Metapod, I've never looked at. I think all things considered, Metapod is one of the most plain, boring Pokemon you could ever imagine. Its only attack is Tackle. They have done something here. They have elevated Metapod to something with a story to it. That little eyelid droop, he's got an expression like, I guess I'm evolving soon, but I'm biding my time, folks. I want to evolve sometime soon. I can only use String Shot, and that's all I have to my name. This is great. It might even be... You might kill me, but I'm going to put Metapod in the S tier. I'm a big fan of this Metapod sprite. It's hilarious to me. Okay, I've accidentally dragged up Murkrow, but let's rank Murkrow. I'm feeling an S tier for Murkrow. Can I be honest with you? I think there's a beautiful work of pixel art. I'm looking at him clearly and I'm seeing something that I like. I'm gonna go with S tier for Murkrow. I really like the Murkrow sprite. Might sound crazy. Mew? Yeah, it's Mew. It's an inherently beautiful design. I think they could have done more with Mew. I never thought about that. Gen 3 Mew back sprite. Let's give it an A. A tier for Mew. Mewtwo is S tier. He's all here. He's doing good work. It's an icon of the game, and they've done him justice, I would say. And he would feel legendary when you get him as well. Mighty Ina, the Ina as he's called colloquially, A tier. Melodic, B tier. Not much detail there. Beautiful Pokemon that they could have done more with. Miltank, A+. No, S. S tier. I like the hands. I like the hands. Minun, a bit plain, B tier. Misdreavus, C tier. Now Moltres is I like the Moltres back sprite, even though it goes against my ethos recently. I just feel like he's got a cool expression and cool fire coming on his head. So I'm going to put him in A+, and I use him in competitive and I like him. I can't see his wing, but let's be consistent, put him in top of A, I suppose. Mr. Mime is sort of like, Mr. Mime is doing a lot for me. I like Mr. Mime's sprite. A+. Mudkip? Not bad. I think the Charmander, you compare this to like Charmander and Bulbasaur sprites, similar first evolution starters. I think they're better, but it's a fine sprite. I think it's an A tier. Muck? Now you guys know I love Muck, but the back sprite is rough for Muck. This is sort of Golem vibes. He's just sludge with, if I show this to my grandmother, there's concern all around. What is this? What am I looking at? Something's gone very wrong. Does not pass the grandmother test. A D tier for Muck. I'm sorry to Muck heads. And I gotta be the biggest Muck defender on the planet. Who else likes Muck as much as me? Nobody, probably. But that's not a good back sprite. Natu? He's so small. There's no excuse to not show more of him here. It's a wonderful design. I don't think you've done it justice. C tier. Nidoking and Queen are good sprites. These are good. I like Nidoking. Is just cool. This looks rewarding when you evolve the Nidorino. I might even be inclined to give these both an S tier as back sprites. Especially Nidoking is better because I like the hand is so cool there. And these ones, I mean, these are some of the best baby Pokemon sprites yet. There's a lot of detail here. Sometimes they just give up or they don't show much of them, but they've done good work here. I'm inclined almost for an S tier for these. Would you agree, folks? I think an S tier is in order for these ones. And I think the whole Nidorino line is kind of epic. This is a great sprite right here. He's got spikes. This is a Pokemon I would get excited about if I was a child. I gotta say, this one is a lot better than this one. I can't see the eye. This one is looking more battle ready. I think that I'll give this one an S tier, and this one maybe like a B, maybe like an A+ or an A. Nincada, unexciting, C tier. Ninetales, pretty good, but could be better, and B+. Ninjask, it's like the most hated Pokemon of all time, but I gotta give some respect to the sprite. It does look pretty nice. The bug Pokemon tend to be pretty good pixel art, so I'll put it in like A. I gotta give some respect to that. Noctowl, this looks like a potato with some stuff coming out of it. That does not look like a Noctowl whatsoever. D tier. Nosepass, D tier. Numel is pretty good. Much better than Camerupt. Actual detail on there. A tier. Nuzleaf. That's Nuzleaf, is it not? Forgive me if I've gotten some of these wrong. I misremember some of the babies. It's not bad. B tier. B tier. I'm neutral towards Nuzleaf. Octillery. I can see his eye. Do I care? Not particularly. B. Oddish. B tier. Omanite. I like the little bit coming out here, but this is not very good. C, to be honest. This is D. I can't even see Omastar. Where is he? Onyx is good. I like his face. Visible. A tier. Paras. Like the mushrooms are nice. B+ for the mushrooms. Parasect, not very good. Not really clear what it is. C tier. Pelipper, this is a good sprite. Good detail. Good facial expression. A+ tier. Persian, I like the long tail. I like that most of him is in view. A high A tier. Above Moltres. Phanpy, not good. D tier. C tier. That's not looking like the Pokemon. Pichu. Okay, Pichu has the hand. Pichu, I think, is pretty good. Pichu is A tier. Pidgeot. These are good sprites. I like the Pidgeot sprites because you can see his wing. This is way better than like some of the bird sprites are awkward. You know, they're just like a neck. You can't even see the whole thing. This is more like you can't show the whole bird, I suppose, but this is looking pretty good. I would actually give this A+, pretty high A+. Pidgeotto, I think that the tail is also doing a lot to evoke birdhood, so I would give that A+ too. And Pidgey, I think this is one of the most detailed baby sprites that actually shows the entire body and like the wings up. This is actually this is also A+. The Pidgey line has some good sprite work. Now Pikachu is the icon of the entire series. Have they done it justice? I mean, I've always liked the Pikachu back sprite. The Pikachu back sprite. I suppose it's I don't know. Somehow it's a bit boring as well. It's a bit plain. Be an A. Piloswine is, we gotta make like an F tier. Okay, let's make an F tier. Add a row below, and this is F tier. We need to put some of these like Muck, Golem, Graveler. What is this? What is this? This is garbage. This is horrendous. This is a tire. Kyogre, probably an F tier to be honest, and Piloswine is at the bottom of F tier. What? Like, I like Piloswine's design. They have forgotten to draw him. What is this? This is a rock. This is just a rock. That's the bottom of F tier. Muck is above this. Kingler is down here as well. Pinecone looks like a bloomin' onion. D tier. Pinsir, I like his horns. Pretty cool, I guess. B tier. Plusle. Where's Minun? Put them next to each other. Politoed, good back sprite. I like this one. I like his hair. There's a lot of detail in the eye and like the face. It's a nice, elegant little design. It's a little fella. Dare I call it an S tier sprite? I'm very fond of the Politoed sprite. I mean, I don't know if it's in this league. We might have to make an S+ later on in the video and separate the best from the second best later. Poliwag, B. I'm neutral towards Poliwag. This it's got a fist. Somehow I don't like this one actually. And Poliwrath, I'm not super fond of that one. Ponyta, this is a good one. This is a pretty good one. It's an A tier. I should give an A+ tier. Poochyena is very good detail in the Poochyena. In a world where like Piloswine is a literal brown smudge, this is pretty nice. So that A+, I think. And I like the Porygons. I do like the Porygons. I might even like, there's some bias here. I think a Porygon 2 is S tier. One of my favorites of all time, and the sprite is, I quite like it. And Porygon 1, I'll give the respective A+. Primeape, actually it's a cool Pokemon. This looks like an orb with it's unclear what the hell this is. Looks like a hay bale. C tier. Psyduck, they've done it. They've done his one trait where he's confused. I think that's a good sprite. A+. Pupitar, it's kind of a boring Pokemon, but show his face. If you get I think showing the face would have done good work there. Quagsire is an S tier sprite, I think. You can see the whole Pokemon. Nothing's obscured much. Little hand. He's sort of got a chill attitude as expressed by the little hand drooping downwards slightly and the little smile and a tiny little eyeball. Quagsire S tier in my eyes. That's a beautiful sprite. Quilava. I kind of like this sprite. A tier. Although what's up with his hair? He needs a haircut. The fire hair is a little insane there. Quillfish, a little bit plain. B tier. Raichu. Could be better. B tier. Raikou. I like Raiku's sprite. I think they've done something. They haven't shown much of him, but compared to like Entei, you couldn't even see the guy's face, which I don't understand because Entei's like a legendary. You want to be able to see the face. Raikou, you can see the face. The color scheme is sort of legendary-ish. Like as a child, you get Raikou, it's more exciting than the Entei with back sprite wise. I would put Raikou A+. Ralts, I quite like the Ralts. Maybe a B plus for Ralts. Rapidash, I think this is a very nice sprite. The fire, this is the kind of thing that captures the imagination of a child. This is it. This does it. I think that's an S tier sprite. I think it's magical. It's magical and it's detailed and it looks like this looks like a legendary almost. This looks like a rare beast. It's not that it's not as good as it looks probably. This has got to be S tier. I love this is rat clenching fist meme image. This is it. That's S tier. I like the Ratatouille. S tier. Raticate. Rattata is not as good, but I'll give it the respective A tier because I like Little Rat. Rayquaza, I kind of like, because so much of it is obscured. It is just top of head. But at the same time, it's still kind of cool, you know? It's still kind of cool here. I think Rayquaza is A+. Because at least, you compare it to Kyogre. I can see his main features pretty clearly. And it does look like there's more of him. Like, it looks like there's, you could imagine that this is a powerful dragon. He looks like it. Kyogre, on the other hand, does not evoke power. It just is nothing. We have made it to the Reginalds, who I think are pretty good sprites. I mean, Regice, where would I place this? Maybe a B+ for Regice. Regirock, who's the coolest? I like the Registeel back sprite, I think, the most. I like his shapes. It's got a uniform look. Regirock is also quite good. I think I'd put them both in A tier. I like these well enough, despite Although, yeah, that's fine. I think that's accurate. Relicanth? I don't love this sprite. I don't love it. I'm going to put it in C tier, personally speaking. Who is this? Remoraid. I just pulled that out of my memory from a long ancient dream. This guy, I mean, I can see his eye. As far as baby Pokemon go, pretty detailed sprite here. You gotta give it some respect. I think this is like an A tier, actually. Give some respect to Remoraid sprite. That's pretty good. Rhydon actually is one of the best sprites in the game. I think it's really detailed. It's animated, captures the Pokemon, makes me excited to use it overall. That's an S tier sprite in my mind. I think that's fantastic. What do we think about Rhyhorn? Not as fantastic. B tier. Roselia, a Pokemon that has captured the hearts of many with an unexpected niche and competitive. I like the flowers. A tier for Roselia. Roselia doesn't exist yet thus far. Sableye. Pretty cool. The spiky ears, the little gemstones are fun. Clawhand. Clawhand is an important detail to consider. All factors considered, we put Sableye perhaps in the B plus tier. Salamence is a disappointing one, don't you think, folks? Like, this is one of the best Pokemon in the whole game, and I'm only seeing the top of his head and not much of it. Even Gyarados, like, has more detail with a similar cutoff point. But sending out Salamence, I would like to feel a bit more magic sending out something like Salamence. I'm actually going to rank Salamence quite low in the C tier because there's not much of him. Sandshrew, it sort of looks like he's made of bricks. B tier. Sandslash. You know, Sandslash actually banned because of Sandvale in competitive. But this is a great sprite. Like, it's got a lot of spikes in different directions. He's in a good pose. He looks like he's ready to fight. And this captures my imagination. This is a good work of a pixel art that I have a lot of respect for, and I would put this in the S tier, in my personal and humble opinion. And we got some good ones coming up. Look at these. Sceptile. They've shown a lot of them, all things considered. I've always quite liked the Sceptile sprite. I think that's an A+. Put him next to his friend Blaziken. And the Scizor and Scyther sprites are both excellent. As a child, this is just so cool, Scizor. With the angry face, it's pretty detailed. I think that's damn cool. A+. You know what? S tier for Scyther and Scizor. Let's be respectful to them. Scyther and Scizor S tier. Scyther a bit better. More detail on Scyther. Seadra as a pretty detailed sprite as well. Yeah, B+ for Seadra. I like the Seeking sprites. I think the Seeking sprite is kind of funny. It's just regular old fish has found his way into Pokemon and he doesn't know where he is. This guy's like the best Pokemon in Gen 3 ZU, by the way, which sure is something. I'm gonna put this in A+, actually. I really like the sprite. It's like a funny amount of detail, and he's got a blank stare. Who is this? Whale? Who is this? I don't even know who this is. This is a blue beanbag with wings on it. That's F tier. This is nothing. I don't even know who that is. That's like, who's the guy from Grimace from McDonald's, but he's blue. He's got wings on. C dot. A tier. I like his little. He's doing a march. That is Seal. This is Seal. They did something with the pose here. Respect for this. B+. Centret. C. Seviper is epic. This is an epic sprite. This doesn't have an evolution line or anything. It's just Seviper naturally. This looks like it's powerful. This is a Pokemon that tricks you into thinking it's good in the game. It's actually average as hell, but the sprite is doing a lot of work there. That's why it's so much fit into the frame. Look at this compared to others. The level of detail there is wonderful. So many colors. It's cool looking. That's Pokemon at its best, folks. That's it. Sharpedo. Maybe like a B+ for that. B+ tier for Sharpedo. Shedinja. I feel like this is a good sprite because of the halo and the wings, if there are even wings, something. It's a pretty good sprite. Shelgon. D tier. Clamla. Shelma. Shelda. C tier. Shiftry. I can see your head, but I want more of you though. A, B tier. Drumish. No, Shroomish. Hello, Drumish, if you're watching. Drumish is ranked in the... They could have shown Drumish... They could have done a better Shroomish sprite. They could have done better with this. I like his spots, though. B tier. Shuckle. The Shuckle sprite's cute. It's a good sprite. A tier for Shuckle. Shuppet, disappointing. C tier. Give me more of Shuppet. Silcoon, D tier. This one has an eye, this one doesn't. That's the distinction. Skarmory is a great back sprite, I would say. Like, you can see his wings. So many other bird sprites would have just cut him off at the neck here and not shown this bottom part. But the amount that this bottom part adds is a lot. You know, that's S tier. It makes Skarmory cooler. Skarmory feels like a pretty cool Pokemon as a result. Skiploom, pretty good amount of detail. B+. Skitty, I like the tail. It's fun. This could be a child favorite of people. B, top of B tier. Slacking, that's an S tier sprite. Large Pokemon, but look how much of him you can see. They did a lot with a little here. This is like all suggestion, but you get the full picture. This is artwork. This is art right here. Slacking sprite, S tier, and it's above many of these. Slackoth sprite, I think, was also quite good. He's scratching his head. He's got a sense of confusion. That's personality. I would put Slackoth in the A+ tier. Slowbro, it's okay. A tier. Slow King, that's way worse. C tier. Slowpoke, it's got a tail on. B tier. Slugma, I think he looks good. I think he's looking pretty good. B+ tier. Smeargle, I like this. I think that he's holding his tail that is a paintbrush. I think that evokes something, you know. I think it's got some personality going on. You could have shown his face a little bit, sure, but the holding the tail brush is good work. That's good work, and you know, I'm talking about artistic merit, and this is an artistic Pokemon. A tier, I think, for Smeargle. Smoochum, I can't even see. Smoochum, C. Sneasel, pretty cool. B+. Snorlax, disappointing. Where is he? I need to see more of him. I can't even see his face. C tier. Snorunt, looks like Dorito. Kind of like pretty good detail actually on the bottom here, but C tier. Snubble, pretty good. B+. Solrock, not even close to as good as the Lunatone sprite, which just has much more. It shows the full, like, where's Lunatone? Here. Like, that's a wonderful sprite right there. In fact, I'm going to bump that up to S tier. This sprite is so good compared to Solrock. Spearow, it's just a little bird. This is just an orb. What is this? Sphelio? Who are you again? Tell me more about you. Just kidding. D tier. Spinarak, little guy. Where is he? C tier. Spinder. This is what I'm saying, where a little pose can do a lot for you. A little pose like this is fitting with the spin theme of spin. You know, he spins around, the guy. That bumps you up to a B+ tier where others would fail. No, that's even an A tier for you. No, it's B+. Let's be fair to people like Onyx. Spoink. I love Spoink. It's an iconic little pig with a spring, and he's got an orb on his head. What is this? It looks like black tar with a pearl on top, I guess. This is not. It's an strawberry ice cream cone. No, that isn't Spoink. Where's the iconic tail spring? F tier for Spoink. Come on now, be better than this. We have Squirtle next, an icon. A pretty good sprite. We can see all of him. The facial expression is a bit blank. I don't know if maybe he's just not very excited right now. He doesn't want to be there. But we'll give him the respect of the A+ tier. I think A+ tier. He's a fun little fella. Stantler is not a bad one. You know, it's got detail on the antlers that I appreciate. Stantler, an overall unremarkable Pokemon though. I think they could have done a bit more. Perhaps an eye visible. Maybe, you know, some flavor. It's a bit plain, but the Stantler, the antlers are pretty nice. Out of respect for the antlers, we put B+, I think. Starmie, the front sprite is excellent. It's full of color and life. This, I don't even know what it is. It could be mountain tops made out that are purple. It doesn't look like the guy. It doesn't look like him. F tier, maybe D tier. Staryu, on the other hand, does look like a star. And the tilting at an angle gives it a bit of personality. So I think that Staryu is better, and I would put it in the B+ tier, to be honest. Because, like, I give this some respect. It's a Pokemon that's hard to make a good back sprite for. It has, like, little in the way of features that can give it more personality, but you've done what you could with little. And this does look like a Staryu from behind. So there you go. We have the Substitute. That's got to be like a B tier, you know, I have a neutral opinion towards the Substitute. Steelix is a great sprite. I think that this is good. It has a big head with a lot of detail on it. I don't know if this evokes how large Steelix is, but it takes up a lot of the frame. It is pretty big compared to other fellas. I think that this would create excitement in a child is when seeing Steelix. A+ for the Steelix sprite, and it's better than many of these. It's among the Politoads of the world. What is... No, Noctowl shouldn't be here. You have made a mistake. Someone has cheated Noctowl and put him in where he didn't belong. This is a D tier Pokemon. How did Noctowl get up there? As I said, it's a potato with something coming out of it. That is not Noctowl, that's somebody other. Sudowoodo. I like Sudowoodo as a Pokemon. He's a fake tree. That's fun. However, is the back sprite anything special? I suppose he's, you know, tilted like this. He's got his arms doing stuff. They did give this a bit of flair. I can respect them for that. and I would give it perhaps a B+ tier. I like the green orbs as well. I like them. Now, Suicune, this is, of all the legendary beasts, this one has the best back sprites. I think that this actually feels like a Legendario. This feels like a legendary Pokemon. You can see his face. You can see he looks angry, and he's going to calm mind, rest, sleep, talk, and kill your entire team. He's got the cool flaps. What are these things? The, wavy things that he has. The purple hair. It's all here. This is a great sprite for Suicune. It evokes a sense of magic, and I think that if you have a Suicune and you send it out onto the field, you will feel something, and you will feel good about it. Sunflora. Sunflora has a great smiling face. You could have done a better perspective here for Sunflora. This is not playing to the Pokemon strengths. C tier. Sunkern, a bit better. Probably still C tier. Surskit, it's okay. C tier. Swablu. I would like to see his little beak. That's a cute part of him that is not visible. I will put him in the C tier. A lot of C tiers here in the back-to-back. But folks, we have an S tier, I think, on our hands. Swalot. We love Swalot. You can see his entirety. He's got the black diamond pattern on him, the fist of the North Star, a mustachio whisker, and his red eye which looks determined. This guy learns Encore. He's about to click Encore on something. I don't know what. He's got explosion counter. He's about to counter and a Swampert Earthquake with a look like this in his eye. And you best beware. Swalot S tier. Swampert. Compared to other fully evolved sprites, I think that this is actually, like, the Gen 4 sprite is improved. I don't know though, is it? I think the Gen 4 sprite is actually quite similar. It's not, there's nothing wrong with it. I think it's an A tier sprite. It's an A tier sprite. Swellow, I think this is a wonderful sprite. Compared to, this is just an elegant design that it's kind of a perfect sprite right here. This is beautiful. Compare this to all the other normal flying types. It's not even close between them. Dodrio, Sphero. You can see the entire bird. There's no confusion about what this is. It passes the grandmother test. It passes everything. It's got the tuft of head going this way is he's stylish. He's a stylish Pokemon. He's elegant. He's ready to substitute down to 1 HP and click Endeavor, which is what he does in competitive. That's an S tier sprite. Out of respect, we give him S tier. What is this? This looks like one of those candies that your grandfather gives you from a weird tin. And it tastes like coffee and it's a bit bitter. What is this? That is D tier. Swinub is who that is. F tier. No. That's a spheroid. The grandmother test is in shambles. My grandmother would say, oh, that's those candies that my husband has in the tin. No. I like it. Okay, little Talo is kind of cute. This is honestly a good one. I'm going to give this the respect of A+. That's a good one. Tangela. I mean, I can't hate this one too much, can I? I can't hate it too much. He's tangled. I just showed this to my nonna. She might be wondering what happened to the spaghetti. Why is it blue? What happened to the spaghetti? Okay. Tauros. He's got his horn. He's large-backed. I'm neutral towards Tauros sprite, and I would put it in the B tier. Teddy Ursa is a good sprite. I like his ear shape. I think you could have shown the face, but all things considered, I don't mind it. B+ tier. Tentacool is kind of a disaster. You could have done more here. I can't see him very well. I think it's got more detail than some of these other... C tier is appropriate for this. C tier among something like a Weeping Bell sort of situation. Tentacruel, I like his red orbs are doing a lot of heavy lifting. They're a nice part of the visual design, but they did not do him any favors with the angle here. So I'm going to give that like a B tier. Togepi, not bad. The little hands are nice. B+ tier. Togetic, B+ tier as well. It's superior to, it's got the wings on, and it's got a head shape that has some detail. And it's superior even to Snubble. No, it's not. Snubble I prefer. Torchic, not too bad. I don't mind the Torchic. Not as good as the Charmander. I think a B+ is in order. Torkoal. Now this it's a kind of a funny one, because the smoke is covering his entire person. But do I mind? This kind of adds some mystique, to be honest. This is kind of a creative way to obscure Torkoal. Maybe they wanted to do less work this day. They're like, oh, we're gonna make Torkoal. The game's shipping next week. Well, we could just draw his head or make him a rock, like Piloswine. The guy who did Piloswine, just make him a rock, dude. They won't even notice. Torkoal designer said, okay, wait. I'm gonna cloud him in the smoke, and then all I have to do is draw the smoke. I don't have to draw his complex shell. So he's trying to get out of the work, but he still wants to evoke the Pokemon and his white smoke ability. For the creativity of the pixel artist who wanted to get out us doing some work, but at least he did it in style. A tier for Torkoal. Totodile, this is excellent. I can see his entire person. He's got a great look on his face. He knows he's going to evolve into something good. Well, he thinks so. He's got the Himalayas on his back. He's got a hand. It's detailed. It's fun. I sent him out on the field and I feel something. S tier for Totodile. Trapinch, I'm inclined for an S tier. I like the little guy. I like his confused look. I send this out and I sort of smile to myself. And for that reason, it's an S tier for Trapinch. Trico. Yeah, this is a great back sprite. The big eye, you can see all of him. He's doing a pose. He's got some personality to speak of, and I would give him an S tier. To be honest with you, it's better than the Mudkip. It's better than the Squirtle. It's better than so many of these baby Pokemon. This is what we want out of pixel art. This is it. This is the one. Okay, Metapod has sort of snuck his way in there. Let's demote Metapod to A+. Even A+ is an honor for Metapod, let's be honest. Tropius. Okay, it's another one with head only. One of the better head only designs, I guess. It's got bananas coming out of it. B+ tier for Tropius Sprite. No, yes. Typhlosion S tier. This is a great sprite. I mean, it's so good. He's got a great expression. This looks like it's powerful. It's got the fire. We love the fire. That's a beautiful sprite right there. That's the one. Tyranitar. I mean, it's just an instant S tier, is it not? He's the best Pokemon in the game, and he knows it too. And he's got confidence in himself. They showed a good amount of him. S tier for Tyrannosif. Tyrogue is here, and Tyrogue, I like he's doing some martial arts. He is really trying. He's not fully evolved, but he is giving it his all. He's putting his heart into this. And for that, I gotta give some respect to Tyrogue, who I would put, I mean, out of respect for the effort he's putting in, A tier. Umbreon, this is better than some of the other evolution sprites. I think this is better than the Espeon sprites. It's kind of plain though, and I would personally give it a B, the top of B tier, like around there. Unknown, this looks like a radio tower or something. It looks like does not pass the grandmother test. C tier. Ursa Ring, I like this back sprite. I like using Ursa Ring in Agile Pass teams in OU. It's fun. Can't see his face, but I mean, he's a bear. You could see that he's smarter than the average bear too. So A tier for Ursa Ring back sprites. Vaporeon, kind of an unimpressive sprite. It's not very exciting looking. This is a Pokemon with some elegance. You could make a good sprite. Like, look at Jolteon's sprite and then compare it to this. They could have done something more. This is a C tier sprite. Venomoth is a nice one, I think. I can see his eye. Big wings, you know. It's a bit magical. It's a little bit magical. B+ tier? No, A tier. Venonat. You know I'm a clenched fist fan. And look at Venonat's clenched fist. He's looking ready. They showed... In so many other sprites, they would just not include the red part here for some reason. I don't know why, but look at how much this adds. This adds so much to put the red. I put him in S tier, to be honest with you. You might think I'm crazy for that. To put Venonat in the S tier, but I like this sprite. That's a good sprite. I'm a fan. Venusaur. It is beautiful. It is lovely, but I can't see his body at all, except for like a little bit, which you wouldn't even know. Probably, I mean, B+ for the pixel art on the flower is very good, but I want to see his body. Vibrava, I cannot see him very clearly. He's cut off, but I guess that it does evoke a little bit. C tier, I guess. Victory Bell, I actually think, like, this is actually pretty nice. There's a good amount of detail here. They kind of took a different approach with it. I like the leaf, the way that the leaf is doing this. You know, that's a good one. Maybe a B+ for Victory Bell, or is that an A? No, it's not quite an A, but it's a B+. Vigoroth, could have shown more of him, but I love his facial expression. As a kid, I thought this Pokemon was very cool. He's got a cool design. They could have done better though. They cut him off. I think top of B tier, the absolute peak of B tier. Because I like the facial expression. Vileplume has a hand, can't see face, good pixel art on flower. This is the high-level analysis we come for, folks. This is what we do. And for this, I give you a B tier also, because I like the flower. Volbeat, I think, compared to other one, Illumise, this is better. A bit more animation. The wings are out, with arching forward. You got spirally antennae, and you got a hand up. For that, I would give Volbeat a B+ rank. Because it's a pretty nice work of pixel art there. Electrode, I mean, Electrode was doomed from the start, but this is Voltorb, sorry. I get them mixed up. But this is better than the Voltorb, so we'll put it top of high C tier, around above the Camerupt. Vulpix, I've never seen this sprite, but this is a wonderful sprite. It's got such personality. They did a lot with it a little here. This is animated. It's sort of going upwards towards victory. It's got a little hand poised. It looks like a wild animal. This would evoke magic within a child. This would evoke magic within a child, and for that, we put it in the S tier, of course. This is pathetic. This is not Wailmer. This is a blue beanbag, or perhaps a ocean pond. No, that's not Wailmer. That's not Wailord either. This is like what I'm talking about. This is such disappointment if you get Wailord. And it's this? I sent out this? It's a blue balloon. This is a balloon. Like, what is that? That's not it. That's not my Pokemon. Walrein is pretty good. The Fang is there. I like the Fang. B+ for Walrein. We're getting towards the home stretch. And look, we got some interesting fellas coming up. Wartortle is actually quite good. A lot of detail. And the hand is outstretched. I think that that's a B+ sort of moment. High B+ amongst the Clefables of the world. Weedle is all well and good. It's a hard one to mess up. I can see his face. He's got a spike on him. I would give Weedle a bit of respect. I would give Weedle admiration in my life. And for that, I would give Weedle the A rank. We put him alongside such fellas as Moltres and Persian. This is... I think that I got mixed up between Weepit and Bellsprout, forgive me. It's okay though, like I'll still, my karmic debt will not be affected by any of that, so don't worry. I'm neutral towards it. It is a B tier Pokemon. Weezing, one of my favorites. I want to see the facial expression on the Weezing though. The coughing sprite is so much better comparatively. I like the Weezing. You could do a lot with this makes me appreciate Dodrio. I can actually see their faces. Weezing, I think, is disappointing to me. D tier for Weezing. Whiscash, they did good work here. This is quite a creative one. I like this. I like the pose he's making. He's animated. A tier, in fact even A+ tier for that Whiscash artwork. This is Whismur. Whismur is here. The ear is drooping. I'm not an enormous fan of this. I would put it in the B tier. Wigglytuff, I feel the same. I feel the same about the Wigglytuff. It's better than Nuzleaf. No, Nuzleaf has it beat. This Wingull artwork I'm a big fan of. You can see the whole Pokemon. He's got a great flapping animation. You can see his beak even. I think that they've actually done quite well with Wingull, and I would even, dare I say, S tier work of pixel art. I would say that's an S tier. Wobbuffet, he's cut off, but he's got a good head shape. You're evoking him. He's got his iconic face. And I would say that I would give this the respect of the A tier for Wobbuffet. Even though he's cut off, it's not bad. Wooper? Wooper is kind of a fan favorite. They love him on Twitter and places like that. They could have done more with Wooper here, I got to admit. I have to admit it. So I'm going to give Wooper probably a B tier. That's a pretty plain depiction of Wooper. Wurmple, they've done good work using a bit of horizontal space. Look at this. He's going sideways here. Wooper, not Wooper, Wurmple. He's got an outstretched eye, a spike. I think Wurmple is a little bit more, perhaps got a bit more edge than the other bug types. And I would put him in the A tier, frankly. An A+. This is a good work of pixel art right here. This is a good work right here. Why not? Kind of plain. C tier. Xatu, it's okay. Xatu is alright. We're going to put Xatu in the B+ tier. It's got some detail. Yanma. I think Yanma is quite good. There's a lot of color. I can see his wings. I can see the 3 legs towards opponent. There's some animation. There is some personality. And for that, I give Yanma some respect. And I'm going to put Yanma in A+ tier towards the top of A+ tier among these sort of heavy hitters, Does Electrak deserve an S tier? I'm close. I'm close to putting Electrak in the S tier. I like that sprite. Zangoose. This is a damn cool sprite, and I think that every kid thought Zangoose was epic, right? Zangoose has a great and simple design. They could have, Zangoose could have been a mascot or something. We love Zangoose, and I think the sprite is just awesome. It shows a lot of him too, so I put that in S tier personally. Zapdos, you can at least see the wing. I think it's fair to put this next to Moltres among the other birds. Moltres. Let's put them together. I think Zapdos is the best. Now, Moltres is the best because I like the fiery hair. Let's put Moltres at the top. Zigzagoon is a good one. I think this is a good one. You see this guy in the, Wally sends him out in the little animation, and I think that I had a bit of an attachment to Zigzagoon from that moment. It's a nice Pokemon, and I think it deserves an A+ rank. Golbat is the final Pokemon. This is Zubat, sorry. Zubat is the final Pokemon I'm ranking here, and it's an underwhelming one because this is pretty plain looking version of Zubat. And I would probably put it in the B tier. And we've of course already ranked Deoxys normal, who has accidentally shown up more than once. Now here is my tier list. It's getting pretty damn crowded, I will admit. We might have to, that's okay. We just got crowded tiers for this one. There's a lot to rank. I mean, this was a complex ordeal. This might have been a task befitting of someone better. What we will do is create an S+ tier. Let's create an S+ tier to separate the most elite of the sprites from the rest. And I think that, let's take a look. Furret definitely deserves the spot. I would give some respect to Kangaskhan for having the baby. I love the Groudon. I think that you gotta give respect to... Lunatone is beautiful. Seviper Zangoose. Swalot with the fist. Swellow is excellent. Rhydon is beautiful. It's so good. Machop. Mawile is definitely S+. I would give it to I actually think this is better than Nidoking. That's a wonderful sprite right there. Eradicate with the fist, I don't know. I think there's just not quite enough detail. Rapidash, I honestly would give some respect. This magical. Butterfree, of course. Execute, do I? Yes. And apart from that, is anything else deserving of S+? Quagsire might be. I feel like they're all a bit better. And I would give, you know what, the Vulpix is just a wonderful little work of art there. And I think that'll do it for me. That'll be it, folks. There's my tier list of all the back sprites in Generation 3. Do you agree, folks? Are there any here that you actually think are quite good? Did I overrate any of them in the S or S+ tiers? And you can make one of your own as well. If you're interested, I'll link the tier list maker in the description. Thank you so much, folks. I will catch you later. This is insane. Goodbye.